The ultra-modern megacity of 170 kilometers long and only 200 meters of race. 9 million people live between walls about 500 meters high. Saudi Arabia has wild plans, but how real is the plan announced by the Crown Prince, and who builds it? Saudi Arabia plans to develop the railroad into a city. This is unquestionably just a means for those in authority to exert more control over the brilliant plan for the future. It has a three-dimensional design. You've probably seen this pretty much everywhere. It's the architectural idea that has crashed the internet. The world has just been stunned by Saudi Arabia. I initially believed it to be a metaverse project, however, it is a legitimate initiative. The Saudi Arabian Crown Prince originally revealed ideas for the Line Medina, a futuristic-looking city, in 2021. It's a component of NEO's new massive nation-building projects, which will cover 26,000 square kilometers of desert. Did you know that if you watch our videos, you might get a chance to travel the world? All you have to do is subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Just kidding. The Line's marketing portrays the Red Sea as a futuristic eco-city in the north with no streets, cars, or carbon emissions. Leaked documents allegedly contain proposals for everything from robot cleaners to an artificial moon, flying automobiles, and pretty much everything else from the Jetsons. Think Dubai on steroids. The Saudi government claims that it will build housing for more than 9 million people. Well, it certainly appears to be a creation of science fiction, but I think that's the idea. This is, first and foremost, a massive and amazing PR campaign for Endeavour. The goal is not to appear impressive. Being awesome in the strictest sense is the goal. We are the center of innovation in the built environment. A futuristic hub for business and residents, the ambitious 26,500 square kilometer business zone will connect Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan. In order to establish the city as a significant business hub in the Middle East, it intends to embrace digital technologies and services. The primary query today is less about when or how, but why is it necessary to construct such a city? Why is it necessary to use those resources for that type of project, and why does the city require such an appearance? It's anticipated that the entire NEOM development will become so self-sufficient that it will be referred to as a country within a country, where people will reportedly be referred to as Neomians rather than Saudis. It is now widely known that Saudi Arabia has been working to reposition itself on the wishful thinking megaprojects that seem to go with just what it's been incorporated into what is known as Vision 2030, which essentially states that Saudi Arabia will be looking significantly different by the end of this decade and will no longer be an oil-dependent kingdom. That strategy heavily relies on real estate. It wasn't until July of 2022 that we got our first real look at a linear city outside of science fiction films, and it was unlike anything any of us had ever seen. In essence, the city would be surrounded by two massive structures that could reach 500 meters into the sky and easily extend 170 kilometers into deserts, the biggest structures ever built. The city will then be located in the 200-meter space between these enormous towers. Homes, public parks, schools, and workplaces will all be stacked atop one another. According to NEOM, the entire thing takes the idea of the 15-minute city and explodes it. A far cry from the urban sprawl of modern cities that have grown to the size of small nations, the city will be entirely powered by renewable energy, and its small physical footprint will ensure that 95% of its land will be preserved. I see it more as a method to restructure sprawl rather than a strategy to completely prevent it, and even if we look at the history of more recent capitals that were completely rebuilt, sprawl has always existed. We do know that the first occupants could be moving in by 2030 and that the early earthworks started back in October 2021. However, other than that, the project's questions, and there are many questions, largely define it. Can you even construct something similar? Can a city exist without streets, highways, or automobiles? What if you could walk anything you needed to in under 5 minutes? Could we exist in a well-organized environment without destroying it? Is it a smart idea to place a massive mirror in the center of the Arabian desert? And how would the city change as time went on? Some of it, though, is currently so beyond our comprehension because it presents sort of a raw engineering issue that not even the best engineers in the world would be able to fully understand. Guys, don't you feel like living in this great city? I also heard they've been working on invisible cars. Just joking. If you're enjoying the video so far and want to know more about this project, well, do subscribe to our channel. Let's move on. You must devise a way to have a break in the construction due to the curvature of the Earth. No modern construction project has ever had to deal with these issues before, and I believe that Mohammed bin Salman had something similar in mind. While the line may never actually exist exactly as it does in these renderings, he wanted to create something that he had the same level as awe as the Giza pyramids. It's possible that in the future we'll see a modified version or another variation of it. However, I do think that there is a chance that some of these ideas are tested in a scaled down version of it. I don't see the line as presented ever being realized. The entire idea sort of falls apart, so in the end you might create a dot instead of a line if you're building Neom because there is actual money being thrown at this project. We discover fresh developments in structural engineering. New innovations in sustainability are discovered. It's intriguing and fantastic that we can now apply technology to the built environment on a large scale. This is good for the world. Surprisingly, there are a lot of concepts on display that aren't completely original. A linear city, for instance, has to be imagined before, though not as a utopia, but rather as a warning against Italian architecture. The continuous movement was conceived in 1969 by Collective Superstudio. These astounding works of art are a series of collages that show enormous blocks encircling the globe and are cutting through cities, mountains, and valleys in a similar manner to that of the line. They were created as a critique of mass urbanization and of cold, unyielding construction. From an architectural standpoint, the idea of the line is not new and has a long history. The primary distinction, in my opinion, is to the extent to which this city will heavily rely on an immature technology. Some of the other parts of the city might not be as new as you might believe. Many of our urban areas are already implementing improvements to prioritize walkability and get vehicles off the road. There are apps that let users remotely control buildings and create digital duplicates of entire towns, and Neom is far from the sole idea for a smart city. 2020 saw the Bjork Ingalls group make headlines when it unveiled the woven city that will be constructed next to Fujiyama in Japan. With driverless cars and AI technologies, it envisions a world where everything is entirely automated. There is also a Telosa, a nearby futuristic concept of a new American metropolis and Egypt's new smart city. All of these initiatives had their fair share of criticism, and none of them is perfect, but it would be worthwhile to reconsider the current organization of our cities. Not everyone thrives in today's urban environments. In London, 1 in every 52 people are homeless, and more than 1 million people in the UK reside in so-called food deserts, which are areas with little access to affordable, fresh food. According to a Foundation UK support, there are significant disparities in access to parks and green spaces across the country, with 40% of people from racial or ethnic minorities living in areas with the least amount of green space. If everyone has access, having everything they need within a 5-minute walk could really help minimize some of those discrepancies. Cities need to function better. If you haven't already noticed, the line is a really daring notion, but that's the point. I enjoy how projects like the line have the power to spark discussion and force us to reconsider what a city should look like, and perhaps we need to come up with some bold ideas. We might not be too far from where we should truly be aiming at when it comes to a global discussion about how to improve our built environments. Myriad monoliths aside, more effectively run cities with access to nature and local amenities for all might not be too far off. If you liked the video, then don't forget to smash that like button, and if you want to learn more about where construction is headed, then make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Also take a look at some of the other videos from our playlist, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.